Falmouth's cooking is made possible in part by the following. Appliances donated by Crane Appliance. Kitchen installation donated by M. Duffany Builders. Specialty studio electric and gallery installation donated by David Rogers Electric. Kitchenware donated by Eastman's Hardware.
Hello, welcome to Falmouth is Cooking. I'm Gail Blakely, your host for this half hour, where we talk about most things having to do with food, sometimes a little more philosophical, sometimes a little less having to do with food and more having to do with history, which is what I'm going to start with today. I am very, very super excited to have my friend Laurie Palanza, who might have been known as Laurie Eisman around here for a while.
Yes.
And I have known Laurie since 1986 when she opened Laureen's. So those of you who are watching, you remember her too. I look a little different than I did in 1986, but you don't, which
you're
is
too sweet.
Really wonderful. So Laurie's here to show me what she is fooling around with in Arizona, where you are now living.
Yes.
So thank you for coming. I'm just so glad to have you
thrilled to
here.
be here.
Oh my goodness.
To be reunited.
Reunited, yes. We have lots of old stories about what we were going to call a TV show if we ever did it, but I'm not going to bore you with that today. I'm going to get started with some shrimp tacos. Let's do that. So
okay.
What we can do is leave the tacos in the oven that they are warming.
Yes, the tortillas.
And the tortillas, sorry.
Yes.
So help me with this.
Yes.
Tacos, when people say to me tacos and I see them, these little taco holders that are like this. So why is that a taco versus a tortilla or a roll-up?
Well, that is a taco, but it's a soft taco. So all the tacos that you'll see in the Southwest. I live in Tucson, which is in the Sonoran Desert, and it's influenced by, we have snakes. Yeah. It's influenced by the food from Sonora, Mexico. So it's authentic Mexican food, and they always make a soft taco. And even a corn taco has a little more it holds together a little bit better, but those
like more substance.
Yeah, but if you just serve them on a plate, they're just flat, and aesthetically it's not quite as pretty, and it's easier to just pick them up. So they put them in those little holders.
Okay.
Because we're not using the ones that we used to get at the supermarket when we were a kid.
Which are the pre-fried
the corn
and the
ones
corn
that are fried.
and all, yes,
yeah,
and
so
all sorts of oils
yeah,
and
so
extra
you're
salt.
using a soft taco.
Okay.
And the tortilla is, and once you've put the things on it like that, it is called a taco.
Okay.
So.
I'm just looking for where I put my tacos here, my tortillas.
Oh, your tortillas package.
I did shopping for Arizona cooking in our local Shaw's, which I find has a lot of really good products now. Our markets are so different than when you were here.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. So this is, because it said Olé, I figured we could get away with it, Mexican foods. And we're going to be using these tortilla wraps, which you can use warm or just regular, right?
Yeah.
Because we're, as I said before, warming some in the oven. Okay, so that answers one question I had, and then I had a question about these babies.
These are a very traditional dried red pepper, and
is it like a poblano? What kind?
It's just a red chili pepper.
Okay.
And they dry them, and they often make ornamental wreaths with them, and little kind of hanging things. They kind of stagger all the peppers, and I do think that they are supposed to ward off evil spirits.
Oh, I need them.
Yeah, I'll get you too. But they are very common in the desert, and they're seasonal. They come out, they dry them, because they harvest them at the end of the summer, then they dry them. So when you go to the food festivals and fairs and things, you'll see lots of
wreaths.
You'll see a lot of
So
them.
how would I cook with this if I wanted to cook with it? Would I soften it in water?
You soften
and
it
stuff?
a little, or you could just cut it very, very fine and just saute it into, just almost like you would use a rosemary or something.
Can you cut it? Let's taste it.
Yeah, sure. We can cut it.
So I'm not a huge fan of spices, but I'm gonna.
It's not spicy. A little kick. And the other thing with the peppers is hotter near the seeds. So if you take the seeds out, the pepper is hot, even like a jalapeno. But near the seeds are what are the hottest in a pepper.
So let's get started with our saute.
Okay.
Oil first.
Well, our saute, yes, we're going to saute our peppers and onions and then just set them aside because we'll bring the shrimp to it at the end after we prep the other things. So we will start with a little, I use grapeseed oil because it's a high heat oil. And you can use avocado oil. I use that a lot. And you can fry with this. Grapeseed is a great frying oil. Because it's thin, it's light, and it's wonderful. So we just let that come up a little, the heat. Just to get it a little bit warm, we put in our onions.
And you have an induction at home, you said.
I do have an induction stove.
Don't you love it?
I love it. Cleanup is a breeze. No more taking the burners apart and all that.
And I found that I didn't have to invest in a whole lot of other pans when I got it because most of my stuff was pretty heavy.
Yes, most of them worked. I happened to just find some fabulous Italian pans I loved, and I've replaced some. But so we're just going to saute these until I think usually I do the onions a little bit first, but I did them all together.
Yep, because you're on television. Why not?
Save steps. So we're going to let these. We can bring this heat up a little higher, Gail.
Higher than 7?
Yep.
9?
9's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Because you really want them to start to soften and get a little bit brown because they taste better.
So are you okay if I jump around with you here from 1986 to 2014 to 2024, all of that?
Yeah.
So 1986, why did you open Laurie's?
I opened Laurie's because I had a passion. I grew up in a very ethnic family. I had Italians on one side, Ukrainians on the other. So I was on one side of town eating homemade gnocchi, the other side of town eating stuffed cabbage and borscht. And so food was a passion. And I wanted to open a real gourmet food store in Falmouth. You know, Falmouth was where I grew up. I moved here when I was in 7th grade, so it really was most of my life. And I wanted to bring beautiful food. And I had spent a fair amount of time in Europe with my sister in Belgium, where they have incredible food.
Oh, wow, yes.
And I wanted to bring the feeling of a European cafe to Falmouth. So that's what we did.
That's what you did, yes.
Yep, my dad built it out for me, and I did a lot of imported foods and imported Italian ceramics. I got one of those.
My Gerudo bowl, I still have it. Yeah.
I got a real pasta machine, a big one, that was with the bronze dies.
An extruder
machine, and I made homemade pasta and gourmet, all kinds of, salads. We invented the famous feta bread sandwich, which was a flat, almost like a pita bread with feta cheese baked in. It was made by a bakery in West Roxbury, actually. And for years, and we used to order it, and we made sandwiches out of it. We heated them up in the pizza oven.
They were so popular.
Yeah, they were really.
I remember, people
they
would
were
always
delicious.
Say, can you get me that recipe?
Yeah.
I fooled around with a bread recipe and put the feta in, but I
couldn't reproduce what they did.
Yeah.
So that was my passion, was to bring wonderful food to Falmouth.
You did. It was beautiful.
I enjoyed it.
I remember when, this was 86, so Silver Palette came out in 83.
Yeah, exactly.
And I came home and I said, I think I found our local Silver Palette.
Thank you. That was a compliment, because those women did an incredible job.
Oh, didn't they?
Starting the whole gourmet food scene in New York. I mean, they really.
Manhattan.
They really did a super job. You can turn this down a little bit now, because now it's getting hot. The peppers are starting. You can smell them. And again, we want them a little bit softer in a taco.
And this is just going to sit after it's done, and we're going to add that to
Yes,
the...
this is going to sit, and then, the kind of some juice comes out, and then we're going to throw the shrimp in at the very end to saute the shrimp, and the shrimp pulls flavor from the peppers.
Okay.
And, so I think we're there. Almost there.
So back to Laureen's, you were in Heritage Place for a while,
I
and
was,
then you moved
my first
downtown.
location, and then I moved to what is now the Pickle Jar on Main Street.
Yes.
And I was there for the rest of so 2 years at Heritage Place, and then 6 years for me, and then my dad ran the store for a couple years after that, but that's when I went into a new field.
A new field of
endeavors.
Of
endeavors, yes. So.
And you got married.
I did.
Had a baby.
During that time, my daughter Alexandra, who's now 27.
Oh,
she's taller than me.
Is she?
Yes, she is. A couple inches.
I thought she was just wearing heels whenever I see you on Facebook.
Yeah, no, she's taller than me, but she lives in New York City. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Is she cooking? Does she like to cook?
She loves to cook, actually. She does. I did influence her on that, and she loves. She loves when I come and visit and cook. She's always like, "Will you make this?" Because kids have their favorites from their mom.
Of course.
And so I think that's good, Gail.
And we'll turn it off for now.
Turn it off, and it can just sit.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
Okay.
So then,
what are some of the dishes that when you go, she asks you to make her?
She likes me to make. She loves me to make just traditional Italian sauce and meatballs. And I went there for Christmas last year, and we did homemade cheese ravioli, which was always our family tradition.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, so I made homemade ravioli, and she had some friends over, and her dad was there, and we had a wonderful time. And so I made her that. She loves when I do like kind of, like just a cutlet, like a chicken cutlet, and then arugula, and like a Milanese style with chopped tomatoes and things like that. She loves Mexican food. She loves tacos. She loves salsa, guacamole. I make homemade now that I live in the Southwest. You can't buy bottled salsa anymore. No, I got a molcajete, which is basically a big mortar and pestle made out of volcanic ash. Yes, and I make. Wow. And it's just life-changing.
And you don't travel with that because it's too heavy.
I may buy one and put one at your house, so when I'm on this side of the country, I can borrow it. They're wonderful.
Oh, goodness.
Okay,
And somewhere along the way, we also, this is a reminiscing show, so I hope you can enjoy it. If not, you can probably fast forward back to the cooking. But we decided to do a cookbook together.
Yes.
We did for the Cahoon Museum, we did a fundraising cookbook. And I don't know, was it your name, Fish Tales and Pearls?
Well, when we were working with that committee, you actually started on the committee, and then about halfway
and then I
through,
realized I didn't know what I was doing and I needed help.
You brought me in. Yes. And it actually was a wonderful, for the Cahoon Museum in Cotuit, and it was a wonderful cookbook because it was local recipes, and we tested them all. We had a great committee of women that really knew how to cook, and we tested all the recipes to make sure they were good. And we had a brainstorming session, and they wanted to name it. I don't know how the Fish Tales and Pearls came up with. Somebody, I did not think of it, but I did select the photo for the front of the. It was.
And the book is still around.
It is, and I still use mine. I have mine out in Arizona.
Really?
It's a wonder. I still use it.
Yeah, I still use mine too.
Yeah, it's a wonderful cookbook. That was a great community project that we did.
What I thought was especially good, and which we never got to with it, was having it be a little binder, and we were going to add to it. Cahoon Fish Tales and Pearls next Christmas, 1995
the idea was
or something.
The 3-leaf binder, and we could add recipes to it. But what I've done is sometimes I'll have a recipe and I'll just cut the paper to that size and put holes in it and stick it in there.
Oh, that's pretty smart. So your book has grown.
My book has grown a little.
And then we'll move on from that to your blog that I loved. Your blog.
Oh, my blog.
In preparation for your coming here, I actually revisited it. It made me a little sad.
I never updated it to a more modern user interface, as they say. But it is Fish Tales and Pearls, and it's a collection of recipes, of favorite recipes I did. And I always think in my spare time, maybe when I retire, I will redo it and modernize it a little. But the recipes are there, and there's a lot of good ones.
Don't give yourself a lot to do when you retire. Trust me, I retired and I have 3 jobs.
There you go.
Be careful what you do with it. So after the Fish Tales and Pearls, you went on to other things, other endeavors in terms of work. You were
I went
you were a
into
marketer, weren't you?
I still do. I work in marketing for a high-tech company. I work for several high-tech companies, big global companies, smaller companies. I work for a smaller company that sells into the retail industry, and I still work. And I work from home. I have since my daughter was born, so I can really be anywhere. I just bring my computer and I work. So I still work. And
way before the pandemic, and people discovered that luxury.
Yes, exactly. So I did that, and and I moved to Arizona 6 years ago. My mom had gone out there. Probably almost 15 years ago to retire, and I went out and just fell in love with Tucson and the Sonoran Desert. It's a wonderful small city. It's a food place. I mean, they've always been known as a food scene, and it's really some of the best Mexican food in the entire country, and it's all influenced Sonoran Mexican cooking from the Sonoran Desert, and it's just been eye-opening to have Mexican food that's this authentic. And then they have lots of other, every kind of Italian and French and sushi, and but it is Tucson is a food city, and it has been designated as a city of gastronomy, which is a worldwide UNESCO designation. Tucson was the only city in the United States of America that had the designation. I think there's another city that's been designated, but I'm not positive. But it's the reason you get the designation is because your food comes from local sources. Like we have a wonderful baker in Tucson, Barrio Bread. He all his wheat and flour comes from Sonoran ancient grain that they grow in the desert, and so he uses those ancient grains. Agriculture has been going on in that part of the country for over 2,000 years. So it has a really rich history of, and you think it's a desert, and you can grow all these foods and things, and you can. It's a very biodiverse desert. It's not like Death Valley or something. It's very biodiverse, and so there's a rich history of agriculture, and it's been designated. And what that does is it gets restaurants to do events around it. They invite chefs from other cities of gastronomy around the world to come, like Japan or other cities, and do guest chef, guest presentations, and they'll have dinners and things like that. So it's really for a food person, it's been a really good place to go.
Wow. Yes, when I contacted Laurie about coming east, when I learned she was coming east to come on this show with me, I said, let's do rattlesnake.
We do see them, but they are very
you said they're very
timid. They will not bother you unless you bother them, and they will rattle to warn you if you get too close.
How about pets? How about dogs or cats? Do you have any of those?
I do not.
Would the rattlesnakes be?
No, you do. They're more like pack rats and small rodents that they would eat, but you don't have to worry about your little dogs.
I don't have to worry about my miniature dachshunds.
No, you would not have to worry there.
Okay.
Okay, so
let's do the cabbage.
Okay, so next up, now cabbage is important in tacos. We always use cabbage in authentic tacos. So it's never chopped up lettuce. Again,
like
with the ones we used to buy
the
taco kit. We all did it, and we loved them. But they always use cabbage. So a lot of times when I go out, sometimes it'll just be plain cabbage. But I don't like it plain. I like a little something to it. So what I do is I put in a little oil. I'm going to use the grapeseed oil. You could use avocado. You could even use olive oil if you want. That's fine as well.
That's a good, I'd say, third of a cup.
That was probably 2-3 tablespoons.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And then I use mirin, which is a Japanese condiment.
I know.
And that came from my introduction into macrobiotics years ago when my father went on a macrobiotic diet. And I learned some really wonderful, authentic Japanese cooking. And mirin is a condiment. It's a little bit sweet. It's like it's a rice wine.
Yes.
Cooking wine. And it adds a little sweetness. And I use it in lots of things, Gail. When you just want a little bit of sweet in something, you're sautéing, it can even be vegetables. You just instead of using sugar, I use mirin.
Even a carrot sometimes needs it.
Yes, exactly. And so I use that. And then I love tamari, and I always use tamari. Soy sauce is
I know you told me
tamari
that.
is naturally
I remember
fermented,
that. Yes.
so it's much better for you, and it is better in flavor as well. So I put a little of that on. Not too much. And then I would do vinegar, but I didn't get vinegar, so you want an acid in there. So I'm going to do some lime in there.
Now here's our new trick
okay,
of the day.
Okay, so this is a little trick. If you don't have a citrus squeezer, then you can put it between tongs and just squeeze. And whoops, it slipped a little bit, but you just put it back in there, and it really gets the juice out, because a lime is pretty.
That's amazing.
Is pretty tough. I'm going to use 2.
Okay.
And then I'll cut another one when I have to dress the avocado so it doesn't discolor. But just because I think it could use a little more citrus. So yeah, you just squeeze the tongs together.
All right.
And you're getting the juice out. Okay.
There. We didn't put out salt and pepper.
I do a little salt and pepper, so if you have it, I can add some to it. Okay. And I also like in my cabbage salad sesame seeds. They just add a wonderful little taste and crunch, and they go beautifully with the Japanese condiments, of course, because they use a lot of sesame in Japanese cooking. So
we're going to go a little heavier on the soy sauce then, because our salt and pepper is behind our beautiful decoration by Rita Pacheco.
No worries.
So
and that is a great point, Gail, because you can use tamari, and it probably is, I'll take a little taste. I use my fingers.
Sure.
Oh yeah, it's pretty good. I could use just a tiny bit more tamari. So when I make things like this, I know basically how much I'm using, but you have to taste when you cook.
Absolutely.
Because some people get so nervous, like, oh, I can't do it. Taste it. You'll know if it needs a little more acid, which could be your vinegar or your citrus. You'll know if it needs, isn't that a wonderful coleslaw? Now this cabbage salad,
great.
So this is also the way I make coleslaw. So if I do a fish and chips, or I want coleslaw in the summer in a salad, much nicer. You don't have to worry about mayonnaise spoiling, and I find it to be lighter, and just more delicious. So.
I love the sesame seed in it.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all set.
And we use toasted sesame seed.
Yes.
We had. So.
Yeah, that's easy because it saves you a step. You don't have to toast.
Okay, so we can just leave that.
We can leave that
because
that's when we're going to assemble our tacos.
Okay.
And put that over there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
next
is going to be
an avocado. So when I do shrimp tacos, I like to have toppings, and people can then, I put the base on your tortilla. I would put your peppers and shrimp, and then your cabbage salad first, then your peppers and shrimp, and then you can dress it how you like it. Okay. And I like to put out a salsa fresca, which is just a fresh chopped salsa.
Mild salsa, I got.
Yeah, I get mild because then people that want it hotter can add to it. It's just because there are some people that really don't like heat, so I try to accommodate everybody's taste. And then a little sour cream if you like, and always fresh cilantro.
Do you grow it?
I don't grow it because it's so hot where I am.
Really?
And cilantro is such a delicate herb.
Yeah, I can't grow it.
Yeah, it's very
here
it's difficult to grow anywhere, cilantro, but it's really difficult to grow things like that in Arizona.
That's why we have supermarkets.
But we have an unlimited supply in the supermarket. You never run out of cilantro.
And it's this funky little looking leaf.
It is. It's this funky little leaf. It looks a little bit like parsley.
It looks like flat leaf parsley.
Yeah, a little bit. And it has a beautiful flavor. And there are some people that don't care for cilantro.
I know, which is why it's always good to serve it extra, right?
Yeah, it is good to put it on the side, because I have people that will say, so that it's an option.
People say it tastes like soap. Do you think it tastes like soap?
No,
I don't think
but
so.
there are people that they've found out scientifically that it actually, there's something in their body that makes it taste like that to them.
Wow. Okay.
And it's also a great cleansing herb for doing cleanses and things. It's supposed to draw heavy metals out of you.
Astringent, I think, is what it is.
So now we're going to cut our avocado. So we've got our avocado. So I just cut around, make sure it's ripe. And Gail squeezed them when she bought them. So then I almost
got arrested.
I just break it in half, right?
Isn't that beautiful?
That is a beautiful avocado. So then I take the pit out. Some people stab it with a knife, but I always figure I'm going to stab myself with a knife. So
Okay.
I like to do it.
No blood.
Well, it's just
Falmouth
it
is
just,
cooking no blood.
It ruins the whole dinner party. So, so then what I do is I just slice it, like this, and just don't push too hard because you don't want it to go through the skin. But avocado has a pretty firm skin, so you don't have to worry about it going through. And then I take my spoon, and where's my little bowl?
Right there.
Go right there. Thank you. And we just scoop it out. So then you just scoop it out like this, and then you just put it down, and you've got your little pieces, and you just kind of break them apart. And let's just get our little mess off the side.
And we'll add a little bit of
little bit of juice to
them.
them.
More. Do you want me to cut another
I
line?
think that would be great. Okay. Yeah, and I will cut the other side. And the juice it gives it a nice flavor, but it keeps it from browning, which we all know happens to avocado if you buy, guacamole or something. So I'll just do this one.
Just ignore the stove he's talking
That's
to us.
okay. That's okay. So we just separate them.
Okay.
And then I will just squeeze.
Do your squeezing.
I'll do my squeezing with this. Get it in there.
Well, this is terrific. Now you could do this with lemon too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Limes are, even in a hand squeezer, the one that comes apart.
Yeah.
That one is sometimes really hard to do the limes, but we have Mexican limes that are identical to key limes, the small little limes, yellow, and those are so soft and tender. So when those are in season, you just cut them in half and you can just squeeze them with your fingers.
Wow.
They're wonderful.
Wow. And they're the size of our key limes, which is sort of half the size of that, and more yellow, you think?
They're yellow, just like key limes are, and they make a wonderful key lime pie. That's very popular to do.
When you come back, we'll do that.
So we just let them sit.
She's not coming back, she says.
I'll come back. I'll be back.
Right, this is the top. I'll be back. This is the topping. Okay.
Yeah, so that's going to be when we dress them at the end. So now, do we have everything we need for our tacos? I always have to check.
I believe so. Let's
and
look
then we're
here.
going to get our shrimp.
You'll have the recipe on screen.
Yep.
And we've done the cabbage. We've done the dress. We tossed it. We got to butterfly the shrimp. Set it aside, and then get ready to cook these babies.
Yes, we're gonna. So let's heat this up.
All right.
So we can warm it. I'm gonna put a little bit more oil in just for the shrimp, and we're gonna add the shrimp to it and cook it.
What temp would you like?
I think 5 is good.
Okay. Okay. And I'll get the shrimp out. All right. Okay.
So we're just going to let these warm up, and
while we butterfly.
Yeah, and I'm going to get that smaller knife again that I just put over there, and perfect. So our
You
shrimp.
sure know your way around a kitchen. You've never been here.
I know. Well,
she knows it better than I do.
I had a catering business, and when you went into somebody's house and you forgot something, you just looked until you found it. So you kind of got to figure out kitchens.
Okay.
Okay, so the shrimp, we've already peeled them, deveined them, and what we're going to do is just butterfly them, because I find when you butterfly them and you just make a little cut, let's move that so they can see. You just make a little cut that goes up about halfway into the shrimp on the inside, and they cook better. See how? And then they're nice, and they're also pretty on the taco, and you kind of get a little bit more mileage out of them. So we're going to butterfly.
Rather than a big chunk of shrimp.
Yeah, because they tend to, and this is thicker at the bottom of shrimp, so they cook nicely that way. So I'm just going to butterfly them all. And you can fire up that, maybe another.
A little higher?
Yeah, just so we start to hear it sizzling, because we like to cook shrimp fast.
And you were telling me about the wonderful shrimp that you can get in Arizona.
Yes,
I never would have thought about
in the
that.
In the Sonoran Desert, the Sea of Cortez, which is off near across from like Baja California, right?
Yeah, you're talking to someone who does not know geography.
You can look on a map, look up Sea of Cortez. That is about 4 hours from Tucson, Arizona, and they have some of the most delicious shrimp that comes out of that sea that I've ever had.
Wow.
And it's got a beautiful consistency, a little more like lobster than shrimp that we typically get from the Gulf or the ones maybe on the East Coast here. And it is just delicious. And people go down there in November because that's when they start shrimping. And you can, the Mexican, the country allows you to take per person 50 pounds, or per car, 50 pounds of shrimp. So
Oh my goodness.
people buy it and put it in their freezer, but it's delicious. And I can get it in, one of my fish markets carries it, and sometimes in Sprouts Market, which is a market I use, I shop in, and they have it, and it really is delicious. Okay, so now that this is fizzling like this.
We can't get that here though, right? Could we ask our fish people to try to get it for
I
us?
think it would be hard, but you could certainly try.
Okay.
And I could bring some back next time. Did I forget this one? Yeah. So I just put them down sort of on the butterfly side, and then we're just going to let them, we're going to move them all around. But I just get them all in there.
I just want to add that
Yes.
despite the fact that Laurie has been away from the Cape for how many years?
6 years I've been.
6 years?
Yeah.
One of the ways that we have stayed connected is, of course, the internet and some stuff.
Yes. I'm just gonna
However,
double-click.
every third week of November, I get a package at home, and it is Laurie's cranberry sauce, and it's just wonderful.
And that is a New England recipe.
And that is a New England recipe.
That is a
Is that in our cookbook? I don't think so.
I don't know if
I don't think we
can't
put it
remember
in.
if we put that in there.
But it's
But
a
I
wonderful
do it.
way to stay connected.
And I
yes.
do send it to several people on the East Coast
Yes.
every year,
Yeah.
and it is. Okay, so you just let them, you know, you want them to start to pink up. So you
It's
can
like
just,
she's not really gone, you know?
so you just want them to pink up. See how they're starting to curl up?
Now, what would happen if we added some cilantro to it now?
You could,
I'm
absolutely.
wanting to do it just for color is what
Yeah,
I'm
you can
feeling,
do
but-
it, absolutely.
Yeah?
Does everyone like cilantro that's going to eat?
I hope so. If not, you know what, they can pick it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
yeah,
a
it's
little-
really pretty.
yeah.
It's really pretty. And there's always at the end, there's going to be a squirt of lime.
Okay.
And then, do we have more lime or is
We have one more.
one more? Oh, perfect. Because
And
then
you've
we're
got
going
another avocado.
We'll cut this smaller after when we serve so that people can have
right.
but I'm going to do one big squirt of lime. That's something that we use, as I said before, cilantro and lime. You really can't be a Southwest kitchen without those two things in your...
Do you add it to your spaghetti sauce?
No, you cannot. Certain things you can't contaminate, and that
All
would
right.
be my sauce.
I just want to show you, this is one of my favorite products now that we can get.
Oh, those
I'm not a
little
big
peppers.
bell
Yeah.
pepper person. I'm certainly not a hot pepper person.
Yeah.
But I find that this is really nice for grilling.
Yep.
And we chopped a bunch of those up. Here's what they look like, red,
Yes.
orange, yellow.
Yeah, these are
and,
wonderful. And you know what is
They're
a
mild.
simple recipe with these? Is just cut them, take the few seeds out, and just roast them in the oven in olive oil, salt, and pepper. And it's a little side.
Wow.
They go with anything. They're just delicious. I love them. Very sweet.
We did them, I think maybe the last show or the show before, we did them in balsamic vinegar.
Yes.
And roasted them until they charred, and they were really really
that.
beautiful.
Oh, I bet that was fabulous. Okay, so we're getting close.
Okay.
They're getting pinker.
I see what your shrimp are doing.
You see what my shrimp are doing.
I see what you,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
They're sort of doing little splits.
yeah, they do little splits.
They think they're
Yep.
cheerleaders.
Yep.
We cook together a fair amount.
Yeah, you can tell. We've had a few meals together, you and I, Gail.
And
Many good ones.
Many good ones.
That
Some
is
not
for
so
sure.
good. But that's what cooking
So you
is
just
about.
want, and you push them and they feel pretty firm. But yeah,
Oh, that's me. Sorry.
that's you. That's okay. So there we go.
Okay.
You can sprinkle a little bit more cilantro on there. You can turn that heat off now because I think we're cooked through on these.
And there's residual heat.
There is residual heat.
In
That's
the
the one
pan.
thing with seafood, and of course, I'm talking to a Cape Cod audience. They know, don't overcook seafood because it's just, and use the residual heat. Let it,
Yep.
my tongs, where did my tongs
And the
go?
nice thing, maybe the sink.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
The other thing about the induction cooking that I find, and this is not an ad for an induction stovetop, truly, but I find that the pans stay nice and hot, And
They
then
do.
the burner, once it's off,
It's
you
gone.
can just put your
Yep.
hand right on it.
It's wonderful, actually.
And I have an induction I had an induction when I was at Highfield, and we would just the chefs who would come and do the Meet the Chef series with us would be just amazed at how quickly it just heated up. I can do a big pot of boiling water for pasta in like 2 minutes.
I know it, that power
on
boost.
that turbo boost.
I know it. It is phenomenal.
Better, so different than gas.
And you can take take it down very fast.
Yes,
The temperature.
yes.
You know, just
Yep.
knock it down a few notches,
Right,
and it's cool, and it slows it down the cooking process very quickly. Yeah, they're wonderful. So there you go. There we have our shrimp.
Yep.
Peppers.
Yep.
So
Onion.
we are ready to.
And we've got our wonderful, so we call it a conglomerate of seasonings, Southwestern and Japan. How does that?
Well, I do,
Japanese,
and that is, that's because I think when I sent you the recipe, you probably said, "Why does she have mirin?"
I
and
did,
this
I
and
did,
that?"
of course
But
I did.
I love to mix flavors. I love to mix cultures. Bring in a little Asian, and it's wonderful, and it's acceptable. People like it, and often people that are used to traditional foods and recipes will find it refreshing and fun. It's like it's something different, right? So it's wonderful. All right, so shall we assemble
We shall assemble.
So our tacos are in the oven.
Tacos are in the oven on low.
Okay.
And this is off.
Okay. You can put those
Look
right
at
on
my
here.
asbestos hands. How's that? Pretty good.
Well, I have those too.
You have
Everybody
to.
always says that to me. You can touch things? I said, I can.
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so they're nice and warm, and you can do them on the cooktop with just a flat cast iron griddle or a frying pan. We did it this way because it was easy.
We put them in the oven
Yep.
on low with a
Yep.
damp paper towel on top,
Exactly.
and that worked.
So
Okay,
I always
show me
start
the
with
assembly.
cabbage. So our cabbage salad, right down the middle.
And you could do this with all red cabbage. You could do it with
Yes.
all green cabbage.
Yep.
We added the carrots and a few
Yep.
other things
Yep.
just to
Absolutely.
bring it up in color.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So then we get some shrimp. So we're going to do a couple of shrimp.
Okay.
And then we are going to get our spoon over here. And I am going to, because you have to have this wonderful pepper juice on here.
And these peppers are so sweet.
They are very sweet.
Just
So some pepper. And
look
then,
at that wonderful stuff in the bottom
yeah,
there.
and the color. Look at the color of this food. That is one thing about Southwest food, is the color is just phenomenal.
Yeah.
So then I like a little salsa fresca, which is
Okay.
just fresh salsa, just kind of chopped tomatoes and onion. And
You make your own.
I do in my molcajete, which is my
That's right.
Mexican mortar and pestle that I got. And a little bit of sour cream, just a little dollop of sour cream.
Now this is where if we were very fancy, we would have it in a squeeze bottle.
Yeah, well.
And you go zip, zip, zip.
Yeah,
But we're not that
wouldn't
fancy
know.
anymore.
You could do the little, they love to do that.
We
the
used to
chefs.
be.
And then we do a little, it's 'cause you have
That's just gorgeous.
yeah, so. And then I will take here you go. I will take this lime and just cut it smaller, because then I would serve a little piece with each, on each plate. So, and typically when I make it for guests, I do 2 tacos a piece. And that's really plenty. So I would,
With those wonderful
Yeah.
shrimp.
so then you would, have it on the side,
Yep.
and then you allow the guests
Okay.
to.
Okay. And when do we do that?
That is on the top, our avocado. So a little of that. It tends to be good to put it on the top because the sour cream holds it in place. It doesn't, avocado is a little slippery.
The things you learn.
Well, and then as all good taco eaters do, turn your head and eat your taco.
Okay. So show me what we do with this now. We'll
Okay.
squeeze, and then
Okay,
I think
so-
we'll cut it in half, and we'll
Yeah.
each have a bite.
Yeah, so you just give it a squeeze, because as I said, you can't have enough lime juice. And then we will cut it.
Do we want to roll it first, or do we
Well,
eat it? How do we eat it?
I usually do this with them,
Oh,
right? And
yeah.
if I serve them to people, sometimes I'll put a little toothpick in just to hold it until they pick it up, but I'm just going to cut it in half for us to each try a bite.
Okay.
And this is
it.
Laurie's Southwest Taco.
Laurie's Southwest
And
Shrimp
it's
Taco. Oh, look, that's just
they're
beautiful.
very juicy. So every tacos are messy, and so you just take a little bite. Oh my God!
Oh, they're wonderful. I can see.
They're really.
Oh my goodness,
Aren't they good?
terrific.
Yeah, they're really. The juice of them. Oh, one little tip I will say. Usually when once I make the cabbage salad, because it tends to sweat and you get more juice, I'll take it and take a little bit of it and just put it in a small colander just to get that extra juice out, because these are super juicy, but nobody ever complains that there's, but they really are delicious.
Oh,
And the cabbage, I think, makes it. I mean,
Absolutely.
because there's so much flavor in it, and it's crunchy, and
oh, perfect.
so there you go.
Perfect. Now, if we didn't want to do shrimp,
Okay.
what could we do?
We could
instead?
do chicken, and if I was doing chicken, I would do little chicken tenders, or just cut chicken breasts very thin. But the chicken tenders are so delicious, and so I would do the same way I did it, but the chicken. But you'd have to cook it a little bit longer because it's chicken than the shrimp, of course. You could do. I mean, you can do if you have vegetarian people.
Could we do just beans?
You could do beans. You could do chickpeas. You could do. Yeah, or you could do a refried bean taco. So, but I tend to like to have the peppers and everything. So I'd be more inclined to just do some nice. They could be black beans. They could be chickpeas. They could be any kind of. There's all kinds. They have a rattlesnake bean.
No.
They grow out there. It looks like rattlesnakes on the skin. The color, the sort of speckles, and
Okay.
So
It doesn't rattle though.
No, it doesn't. But you could use beans, so and then you could use other things, tempeh or
Whatever,
tofu if you wanted to. But
You could also, you said refried beans, so one of the things I would imagine you would do with the refried beans is spread it on there
First.
and then build.
yes, because that will be your base if you want to do refried beans.
How do you make refried beans? What do you do?
Well, you boil them and cook them, and then you
Gordo Ranch or whatever?
Exactly, and then you really cook them well, and then you do them on the stovetop in oil, and
Okay.
they're good.
Onion, that kind of
Onion,
stuff.
yes, very finely chopped onion and things. Yep, and then seasonings, good chili and
Okay. So I think that is our wrap for today. This was just terrific. Please come back.
Oh, I would love to.
Laurie Palanza.
I would love to come back.
My dear
Thank you for
friend
having me.
And great cook.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Gail.
Thank you.
It's been a joy.
All right. See you next time.
Falmouth Cooking is made possible in part by the following. Appliances donated by Crane Appliance. Kitchen installation donated by M. Duffany Builders. Specialty studio electric and gallery installation donated by David Rogers Electric. Kitchenware donated by Eastman's Hardware.